What's up, short attention span history nerds? I'm Mike Perry, and you're watching 10 Minute History. When you hear the word pirates, you undeniably think of fierce men with long beards, a patch over one eye, possibly a peg leg, and armed with swords and flintlocks. Names like Blackbeard, Captain Henry Morgan, Sir Francis Drake, or my two favorite pirates, Long John Silver and his rival, Captain Dees, may ring a bell in the minds of many of you. Now, these men were considered some of the most successful pirates of all time, and two of them were damn good fish cooks too. Now, contrary to these ideas, the most successful pirate in recorded history was not any of these men. In fact, it wasn't a man at all. It was a woman named Qing Shi. She was an extraordinary Asian woman who commanded the largest pirate army in the world. Her story is nothing less than extraordinary. A rags to riches story. At the height of her power, she commanded over 800 large ships, 1,000 smaller vessels, and over 70,000 pirate crew, comprised of both men and women. She was the first equal opportunity employer who also happened to be a murderer and a thief. Even the fearsome Blackbeard, at his peak, commanded only 300 ships and a few thousand men. Qing Shi was born as Shi Yang in 1775 in the poverty-ridden society of Guangdong province in China. And like many of the women of that time period, at the age of 13, she was forced into prostitution in order to supplement her family's income. She worked in one of the floating brothels, also known as flower boats, how cute, in the Cantonese port city. These boats would sail along the nearby coast with the customers on board. This attracted several high-profile customers, which included men of the royal palace, military commanders, rich merchants visiting the port city, and many, many more. It's a good thing social media wasn't around back then. They would have been hashtagged out of office. Now, apart from this, very little is actually known about her early life, given her humble origin. In 1801, Jin Yi, the notorious pirate commander of the infamous Red Flag Fleet, try saying that 3 times fast, encountered Qing Shi in the Cantonese port and was enthralled by her beauty. No sooner had he visited the floating brothel and met Shi did he express his feelings for her, and then he asked her to marry. At this juncture, Qing Shi demanded that she be granted 50% share over all his plunder and partial control over his pirate fleet. Jin Yi ultimately agreed to her conditions, and they were married. Man, this guy was whipped early in this relationship. Under the joint command of Jin Yi and Qing Shi, the Red Flag Fleet began to grow and prosper like never before. The fleet grew from 200 ships at the time of their wedding to 1,800 ships in the next few months. Qing Shi commanded around 1,800 of these pirate ships at the peak of her power. Immediately after joining her husband, she implemented some strong reform and constituted the code of law to be strictly adhered by all the crew. Here are just some of the reforms that she implemented. Pirates who gave unauthorized orders or who refused to follow orders were executed on the spot without a chance to justify themselves. And that's brutal. All seized goods had to be presented for inspection. If any pirate was found to be hiding or underreporting goods, a part of their body was chopped off, depending on the scale of the crime. Now, I wonder if they got to choose which part of their body was chopped off. Loyalty and honesty were greatly appreciated, and worthy pirates were rewarded generously, thereby setting an example for others. I'm sure not getting your arm cut off or getting shot in the head helped in the loyalty program that she set up. Female captives needed to be treated respectfully. They were segregated based on their looks, kind of like the movie Mean Girls. The weak, pregnant, and unattractive ones were freed as soon as possible, and also couldn't sit at the popular girls' lunch table. The attractive women were held back for ransom. The pirates were given the freedom to marry these attractive women under mutual consent. Now, is it mutual consent when you've been kidnapped by a pirate? Just asking. Infidelity and rape were treated as serious offenses. The offenders were immediately hanged. In the case of consensual premarital sex, both the offenders were executed. In a few cases, the man was castrated and the woman was banished to the fleet. Yeah, these do sound like the rules of a female, all right. All the non-pirate women I know also would welcome these rules. Apart from these, several economic reforms were sanctioned. The pirate crew were able to keep large sums of their plunder. They had a sort of retirement plan that ensured that they had gold, land, and other goods to live out the rest of their lives. I would have been a pirate just for the 401k program. This resulted in many of the other pirate groups in the region merging themselves unconditionally under the banner of the Red Flag Fleet, which resulted in it becoming the largest pirate fleet on the face of the planet. Now, the two pirates were unable to conceive, so the pirate couple decided to adopt a young fisherman who was in his mid-20s. See, there's hope for all orphans. His name was Chung Pu. I didn't make that up. From a nearby coastal village. Pu became second in command to Jin Yi and the most respected by the crew. This weird adoption puzzled many of the crew members as to why the pirate couple chose to adopt a fully grown man. The answer to this is a bit kinky, and we'll get to that in a moment. Just 6 years into their marriage, in 1807, Jin Xi's life took a sudden tragic turn. Jin Yi drowned due to a devastating storm off the coast of Vietnam. Their adopted son, Pu, became the leading commander of the Red Flag Fleet, and the pirate queen, Jin Xi's confidant. During this tragedy, there was an internal rift for power among the power-hungry captains of the partnering ships. The future of the Red Flag Fleet was in danger. In the nick of time, Xi managed to secure command of the fleet and win the support of the factions loyal to Xin Yi, including his nephew and cousins. Soon after, the power-hungry traitors were captured and executed in public by castration, then being set on fire, to set an example and deter any future possible coups. If you cut off a man's wang, being set on fire is a welcome relief. Following this situation, stricter disciplinary measures and laws were implemented, and the lawbreakers were hacked to death instantly, regardless of their rank. I guess all that wang cutting got old. Less than 2 weeks after the tragic death of her husband, the pirate queen announced that she was getting married to her adopted son. Ew, I told you this was going to get kinky. Did I mention that there were rumors that she pushed her husband overboard during the storm? It's said that she shared an illegitimate relationship with her son for a very long time, which is also the reason, possibly, that she never conceived from her first marriage. It was under her influence that credulous Jin Yi had adopted the young fisherman and declared him as his willful heir. Under the leadership of Qin Yi, the Red Flag Fleet set off to capture new coastal villages and flaunt total control and domination over the South China Sea. This became a major problem for the French and British, as it was their ships that were regularly plundered by the pirates. The Red Flag Fleet was soon operating its business at an enormous scale. Not a single ship moved through the South China Sea without the knowledge of Qin Shi's army. Entire coastal towns worked for them, supplying them with food and goods and other provisions. Ships that wanted to cross the South China Sea were taxed by the pirates, and if they refused, they were attacked and plundered immediately. How do you refuse a pirate? Nevertheless, the Chinese dynasty desperately wanted to put an end to all this, so the Mandarin Navy was set out to confront the Red Flag Fleet in the South China Sea and destroy it. Just a few hours into the battle, the Mandarin Navy was defeated. Qin Shi used this opportunity and announced that the Mandarin crew would not be punished if they joined hands with the Red Flag Fleet. And just like that, the Mandarin Navy was absorbed into the pirates, and the Qing dynasty lost a huge part of their navy. The Emperor of China was enraged that a woman was controlling such an enormous amount of land, sea, and resources and people that belonged to him. The Emperor wasn't very woke. So, in an attempt to ink out a peace deal with the pirates, the Emperor offered amnesty to all the pirates of the Red Flag Fleet hoping to terminate Qing Yi's reign over the sea. At the same time, the Red Flag Fleet came under attack from the Portuguese Navy. The Portuguese Navy now had already been defeated twice before. However, this time things were different. They had come prepared with superior ships and weapons. This gave the Portuguese an upper hand, and the Red Flag Fleet was unable to fight back with the same intensity. Qin Shi recognized the fact that there was no point in persisting. The Portuguese Navy was ruthlessly destroying her fleet. She readily accepted the amnesty offered by the Chinese emperor, like she had a choice. The entire crew of the Red Flag Fleet was forced to surrender. The emperor allowed pirates to take home all the loot that they had been accumulating over the years without facing any major repercussions. And moreover, several pirates were granted jobs within the Chinese bureaucracy, making iPhones and cheap electronics. I don't think that's true. Thanks, Wikipedia. I'm not using Wikipedia anymore. Qin Shi's adopted son and later husband, Pu, became the captain of Qing's Guangdong Navy. In 1813, she welcomed her first child, a son named Cheng Yunli, followed by a daughter whose whereabouts have never been recorded. You know how the Chinese are about baby girls. In 1822, her second husband lost his life at sea, after which she relocated to Macau along with her children and opened up a gambling house with all the wealth that she had acquired at sea. At least she stayed within a familiar profession. She was also involved in trading salt, whatever that means. Towards the end of her life, she opened a brothel in Macau. This episode made sure that her story ended in a complete circle from where it had begun. I do find it quite ironic that after all the trouble that she had caused, all the plundering, tallywhackers, being beheaded, and murders, she died peacefully in her sleep at the age of 69. Qin Shi's life conveys a poetic message as to how a pitiful young teenager forced into prostitution went on to command the largest fleet of ruthless pirates and also managed to subdue the mighty emperor of the Qing dynasty. If there's anything that history has taught us about a struggling young girl breaking the patriarchal chains that bind her, then setting out to conquer her destiny, it's that Disney will soon make a feature-length cartoon about it and get all the major facts wrong. Sorry, Mulan, you're gonna be replaced by a prostitute pirate. So that's it. That's the rags to riches story of Qin Shi, the world's most powerful pirate that you never heard about. I still think Long John Silver was a better pirate. At least he learned how to make some killer fish and chips. Oh yeah, Long John Silver's. Bring back the frozen pecan pies. If you like short history lessons with a little sarcasm and humor, please consider subscribing to 10-Minute History. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Until next time.